Welcome back to Tales from the Darkroom. Tonight we take you on a chilling, real-life adventure of a motorcycle ride gone horribly wrong in the mountains. This story, which will send shivers down your spine, comes from Ryan, a motorcycle vlogger from Texas. He was on an epic journey, riding his Harley-Davidson Street 750 from the deserts of Arizona all the way to the Chardam temples. Now, Ryan wasn't a complete novice. He'd ridden in the Colorado mountains before, so he had a general idea of what to expect from high-altitude riding. But his friend Alex, who was riding pillion, was a first-timer. Alex had absolutely no clue about the harsh weather or the unique challenges that mountain roads can throw at you. As they neared the outskirts of Aspen, the weather took a sudden, violent turn. Heavy rain began to pour, quickly followed by hail. It was impossible to continue riding safely. They knew they had to find shelter for the night. The experience that followed was so terrifying that even hearing Ryan recount it gave me goosebumps. I was on edge, picturing myself in that tent, flashlight in hand, just waiting for something to attack. Most of the footage you'll see comes directly from Ryan's own YouTube channel, so it's completely real. But here's the twist. He never mentioned this specific incident in any of his videos. He shared bits and pieces of their camping trip, but the true reason for that night of horror remained a secret. Until now. Let's set the scene. Ryan and Alex were about 870 miles from their home in Texas, deep in the heart of Colorado. Their plan for the day was to ride from Denver to the mountain town of Estes Park, a route of about 150 miles. They figured they could cover it in a day, but they made a crucial miscalculation. Mountain miles are far more draining than riding on flat, straight roads. They started late, leaving Denver around 10 or 11 in the morning after enjoying breakfast and some sightseeing. By the time they ran errands, picked up some gear, and got the bike fully prepped, it was already 3:30 p.m. Their plan was to ride past Boulder and head straight for Estes Park. However, when they arrived, they were met with heavy traffic and crowded streets. This wasn't the peaceful mountain escape they had envisioned. Ryan made a snap decision. They would bypass the city and aim for a smaller, quieter town nearby called Woodland Springs, known for being a bit more off the beaten path. Just as they were leaving Estes Park behind, a light rain began to fall. It didn't seem like much at first, but it quickly intensified into a heavy downpour, and then hail started pelting them. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. Ryan slowed the Harley to a crawl, carefully navigating the slick roads towards Woodland Springs. Eventually, the hail became unbearable. They had to pull over, parking the bike under a small roadside shelter to wait out the storm. Alex, being inexperienced and already on edge, started to panic. He kept insisting they shouldn't have continued. Ryan did his best to calm him down, reassuring him that they just needed to wait for a break in the weather. Once the rain finally eased up, darkness had completely fallen. To make matters worse, the cold had drained their GoPro's battery, so this next part of their ordeal wasn't recorded. They got back on the bike and rode towards Woodland Springs, desperate to find a hotel. But their luck had run out. Every single hotel and roadside inn was either fully booked or charging outrageous prices, 4 times what they could afford. Soaked to the bone, cold, and utterly exhausted, Ryan and Alex were getting desperate. They even started asking diners and inns if they could just pitch their tent on a small patch of grass, but they were turned away every single time. Finally, around 8:30 p.m., in a remote area, they spotted a small roadside tea stand. They saw a young man sitting there and explained their desperate situation, begging him to let them set up their tent for just one night. The young man hesitated, then refused, giving them a strict warning: do not go outside the tent at night, no matter what happens. Ryan was confused and asked why. The young man just shook his head. "Just trust me," he said. "You're new to these mountains. It's safer this way." Reluctantly, they accepted his terms and set up their tent on a small, flat patch of ground between a house and the edge of the forest. After a quick meal, the exhausted Alex crawled into his sleeping bag and was out like a light. Around 11:30 p.m., Ryan's night of terror began. He started hearing footsteps circling the tent. At first, he assumed it was an animal, maybe a bear or a mountain lion. But then the young man's strange warning echoed in his mind, and a new fear crept in. What if it was a person, maybe trying to steal their gear? Every time Ryan decided to check, slowly unzipping the tent just a crack, the footsteps would instantly stop. He'd wait in silence, then zip it back up. A few moments later, the footsteps would start again. This happened over and over. Ryan's fear mounted with each cycle, his mind racing to make sense of what was happening. Then the situation escalated from terrifying to incomprehensible. Alex, still fast asleep and completely covered by his sleeping bag, suddenly sat bolt upright. He began speaking in a language Ryan had never heard before, something that wasn't even remotely like English. He was mumbling and making strange movements, as if he were having a conversation with something unseen right outside the tent. Terrified, Ryan reached out to wake him. The moment he touched Alex's shoulder, Alex let out a violent scream and glared at Ryan with an expression so horrifying it froze him in place. Ryan scrambled away, grabbing his flashlight and retreating to the far corner of the tent, bracing for an attack. After 10 or 15 seconds that felt like an eternity, Alex calmed down, lay back, and returned to his sleeping position as if nothing had happened. But for Ryan, the night was far from over. Throughout the rest of the night, he could hear the footsteps return, sometimes sounding like they were just outside the fabric, other times seeming to float just above the tent. Heeding the T-stand boy's warning, Ryan didn't dare look outside again. He just sat there, wide awake, waiting for the first light of dawn. When the sun finally rose, everything seemed normal. Alex woke up with absolutely no memory of his bizarre behavior during the night. Shaken, Ryan went to find the young man at the T-stand and told him everything that had happened. The boy listened calmly and then explained. "You were lucky to survive," he said. "That is a spirit of the mountains. Locals see it often. In the old days, people traveling alone through the forest at night would sometimes be taken by this shadow. It follows you, and if your energy is weak, it can control you and lead you away. That's why I told you never to step outside the tent." Ryan and Alex packed up and continued their journey. But Ryan noticed a permanent change in his friend after that night. Alex became more irritable, easily angered and distant. It seemed the spirit's influence was real and had left a lasting mark. This story is a chilling reminder that the mountains hold mysteries far deeper than what we see from the road. Respecting local legends and warnings can sometimes be a matter of life and death. If anyone from the Woodland Springs area knows more about this mountain spirit, please share what you know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this chilling story, subscribe to Tales from the Darkroom and hit that bell icon for more terrifying real-life encounters. Until next time, stay safe and beware the dark.